Today we've got the latest and greatest from Bad Cat Amps. It's the new Jet Black, and it's here to melt your faces. Stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name's Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you want to support the channel, visit our spring store link below for custom swag and check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts. And we have a new website, by the way. It's been redesigned at alamomusic.com. So check it out, shop for your goods, and let us know what you think. Today, we're going to be looking at some stuff that you'll see on that website very shortly, actually, when this video is coming out. This hasn't been released yet, but it's released now in the future when you're watching us. Time travel. This is the new Bad Cat Jet Black amp, which is an iteration from the Black Cat. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And it's a very cool amp. Spoiler alert, I dig it a lot.
Yeah.
We're going to walk you through the paces and demo this bad boy for you. But what can you tell us so far?
So we don't do enough amp content on the channel.
Don't do enough amp content.
And part of that is a lot of times we're covering new stuff. And for the brands that we carry, there's not always new amps getting cranked out. You know, there's variations, like with Fender, they do a different speaker or whatever.
A deluxe in blue.
Oh yeah, FSRs, baby. But it's cool because we got Bad Cat earlier on this year. They have been awesome. Very cool to work with, very cool company. And we've done well with them. And I think the most popular one that we've had has been the Black Cat.
Yeah.
And we did showcase that on the channel. But this, I think, kind of takes it into a different territory because the Black Cat, I think, is their great all-arounder.
Yes.
You know, it's got great clean tones, great overdrive tones, but it's not heavy duty in the way of distortion.
Well, it can be. Well, first of all, before we dig into it, hot take, I think Bad Cat currently represents about the best value in a USA-made boutique amp.
Yeah.
I'm continually blown away. You know, they revamped their entire lineup, and we were talking about it earlier today. The aesthetics of them are just killer right now. They've really aligned things with this, you know, with this aesthetic of a boutique, really high quality amp.
Yeah.
I love the iterations that they're putting out throughout their lineup because there is a very specific thing for each person that I dig. And so this kind of falls into that vein. You know, this ups the ante in from a distortion standpoint in a very specific way. And I think it's, you know, in part to do with what's going on musically and what they're hearing back from artists like Tosin Abasi, who's been, you know, a Black Cat artist now. And I love, you know, he talked about doing that. He was on, I think, like a Kemper or Fractal, you know, forever, and went back to amps and pedals. And I've made that journey, and so I really understood what he was talking about. So, I mean, in the world of modeling, we have 38 watts of tube power.
Tube power. And also, so Black Cat's very popular. Lynx is very popular.
Yes.
And the Lynx is their rock and roller.
It's their 50 watt high gain,
High gain. Black Cat, kind of the all-arounder. It does have incredible drive sound.
It does.
One of our guys that works here, Ramon, he got one of the Black Cats, and he's been playing at all of our shows. And again, you know, he's got a bunch of great drive pedals, but he's been going more to the foot switch and just using what's in the amp because it's fantastic. But this, I think, kind of takes that great all-arounder and gives you a little bit more push. You can rock and roll with it. It doesn't help to have the star power of a Tosin Abasi, but I'm sure today, if you're watching this video, you're seeing a bunch of content. There's some insane players that are playing these right now.
Well, let's talk about the specs on this because it gives you more gain than a Black Cat, and more than a Cub, because you kind of in their lineup, you'd go from a Black Cat to a Cub to a Hot Cat and so forth. This is at 30 watts hotter than, or has more gain.
38 watts.
38 watts. What did I say?
30.
38 watts. Has more than a Cub, which I think is 30 watts. Is probably why I said that. But so right there, you've got more wattage. But the thing that they're doing with the gain on this is kind of a different beast. So inside is a quartet of EL84s. So instead of just, because the Lynx, for instance, that's just two EL34s at 55 watts. This has a quartet because they're using the tubes in the preamp section a little bit different to not just give you more gain, but to give you a type of gain, which is a very tight response gain. And there's a lot of what I just said. There's two things that I think this amp does really well. It's a tight response and it's touch sensitive.
Yeah.
So you've got your two channels, and on the Black Cat, you could really set that up as like clean, dirty, dirtier.
Yeah.
This really is clean, dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a pushed sound on that clean channel, but it's a clean channel. When you switch over, though, there's so much gain on tap.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then the way they set up the EQ is pretty cool because, and I'll say, I already told you what this reminds me of a little bit, but the paperwork basically says this was designed to give you that rich bass and mid bark that will, kind of peak out from within a mix. And it's set up so that at the 12 o'clock position, it's pretty ideal.
Yeah.
And then you're just mixing from there.
Yeah.
So this is a nice amp where you can actually start at the noon position and be pretty good. And that reminds me of the greatest amp that Fender never sold, which was the Machete, which was a very, very cool amp. If you know, you know. Tremolo and their reverb that's on here.
So you've messed around with it.
Mm-hmm.
I've messed around with it. What, if you were going to dial this in for what you think it does best, what would it be?
So what I liked best on this, on the high gain section, is to bring the bass down just a bit, bring the treble and the mid up. Very little reverb, if any, and it will give you that tight chunk response.
Yeah.
But you can be in that position, and because it's so touch sensitive, back off and it cleans up, and dig into it and get like pinch harmonic squeal instantaneously, which is just impressive. I like what they're doing with the reverb. We talked about this with the Black Cat. It's not a spring reverb. It's a digital reverb that's studio quality, and I really think it is. And for this particular type of amp, you really do want something like that. You either don't want any reverb on the amp, or you want reverb like this.
Yeah.
And it's got direct out. It's modern ready with a buffered effects loop. I think that's underplayed a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty killer amp, and like you said, for the money, you're not really going to find any boutique American-made amps for this price. It's not a cheap amp, but it's definitely a huge step up from anything that it's like, I don't want to say anything else that we've typically sold in the past, but we do a lot, as you can probably imagine, with combo amps and a lot of solid state stuff and kind of starter tube amps from Fender and Orange and all that, and the classics that, I mean, everybody likes. Everybody likes a Twin, everybody likes a Deluxe.
Yeah.
This has a total character of its own, and any American-made tube amp that's this powerful is going to be 3, 4, and above. And this is well under 3. It's just above 2, So I think it's fantastic. So for the demo, had to use some humbuckers to really, because it's the thickness. You want the thickness. But
you want to drive it correctly.
If you do want to hear demos of other stuff, I mean, we've got them here. We're going to have them at the launch, and we'll have them moving forward. But I wanted to give a true clean tone and then kind of a bumped up, edge of breakup, kind of cleanish tone, both on channel 1, and then just getting rock and rolling on channel 2. Spoiler alert, it sounds good everywhere, but you take a listen to all 3, let us know what you like the best, check it out.
Okay, so there you have it. That's the demo of the very rockin' new Bad Cat Jet Black, and I'm a huge fan. I want to specifically address a few things about this. One, yeah, these are their own thing. It's not an American sounding amp, and usually when you go high gain, it's like, is it a British sounding amp? It's not. It's got its own character to it. It's not trying to be Marshall-esque or British sounding or anything like that. So I really dig the tone that you get out of this. But I brought up value, you brought up value.
Yeah.
I'm a big Mesa fan. I own a Boogie Mark 535. I love that amp. One of the things that's just kind of taken me aback is I think this particular amp is probably in the mind of a lot of people that are kind of cross shopping. If you're shopping Boogie, you're probably looking at these Bad Cats, and this is going to be high quality US made for less money. And I think it's purposeful. I think that that price point that they put it at is, we can do this and it's going to cost this much from our small team in California.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. I think another thing, like you brought up, it's not supposed to be, this is our version of an AC30
Right.
or Marshall Plexi or anything like that. And that's one thing that I've really liked talking to John over Bad Cat is that, of course, you bring on a new amp line that I was not, I mean, I knew Bad Cat and I had played some, but I didn't know everything about them. My first question is like, so give me the profile of each of the amps. And he's like, they're Bad Cats, they're their own thing,
Right.
which is just a cool thing to kind of appreciate from the company itself. But this, while the Black Cat is fantastic and it's still fantastic, and we're going to have them as well, and you can always get one if that's the right one for you, this opens up a little bit more possibility, I think, which would appeal to a lot of people. I like being able to have the 2 channels with channel and master volumes, and it gives you so much play in there, and then the 3-band EQ. We always do the KC approves thing now because Casey Jones is down there, and I like to run every guitar by him.
He was so excited to try this amp out.
He was very excited to try it out, but we've talked a lot about the gain, which is awesome, but he had a lot of good stuff to say about the clean channel as well, which you don't always get with an amp that's supposed to be a high gain pusher,
Well, that's the difference on, I think, a quality amp. I think you get the things that are characteristic of a high quality amp are the things that this thing has, which is a really nice, pleasing, open, clean sound. Casey and I were getting geeky about amps, and we are kind of in agreement in how we run ours. And what you just said about Ramon, when I got my Mark V, I slowly got rid of all of my overdrive pedals. I did not need them anymore. What I got from the amp was enough. This characteristic of this amp is that you can kind of dial it in, but it's also touch sensitive. And what I mean by that is, like, if you turn down the volume on the guitar or you just pick lighter, it really responds to you. And on the other side of that is, if you're on the clean channel, that's the only place Casey and I agreed I would use a compressor, because it is really open and you kind of might need a little bit of control on that because it's so touch sensitive. But when you go to the drive setting, that kind of squishiness that you get in the tubes, you don't need the compressor, and you can be more musical, which I wish more people would kind of just turn off your compressor pedal, don't leave it on all the time. You get lower noise and you play more musically. It does all of this very, very well. At what I think is a very competitive price in a wonderful, really good looking package. So it's, checking off all of the boxes. The one criticism I would have, and Casey kind of said this too, is he's really used to like a 4x10, or 4x12 multi-speakers. They put in this a Celestion Vintage 30. I think that's what's in it. It's a great speaker. And it responds really well with the tightness of this, but I could see some people preferring, and I think this is how Abbasi's been touring, is the head with like a 4x10. You're
Which
going
the
to
good
get
news
it.
is there's a head version as well, and I'm sure there'll be a matching cab. But if you got a favorite cab, the head, you'll have it taken care of. Yeah, I dig it. Casey was saying, I'd like a dual speaker kind of thing. And who's to say they won't do a 212 version or something down the line?
Well, what I'd love to see, because they don't have cabs for this series right now, is my understanding. What I would love to see is some closed back cabs in a 2x12 and 4x10 configuration to go with the jet black. I think that would complement it really, really well.
Yeah, I think Bad Cat, you know, we came in to the line when they had reconfigured into their 4, you know, main amps, right?
Yeah. Black Cat,
Cub,
Hot
Cat, and Lynx.
Yeah.
And they did all this work to get there. They wouldn't introduce a new amp unless they were like, this is something special that is worthy of joining the lineup. And I know those guys are super excited about it. We've heard a lot of hype, and it lived up to the hype. I really dig it. And yeah, we'll have a handful to start with, but as always, we're ready to go. If you're looking for any kind of Bad Cat, come to either of our stores because they're very fun to play.
One of the things I actually dig on these too, your foot switch is a tiny little foot switch.
Yeah.
As someone who, you know, if you have ever seen a foot switch on like a Mark Series Boogie, it takes up a lot of real estate on your pedal board just to switch or turn stuff on and off. I really like having just the tiny little 2-button foot switch, you know. So you get that, a power cable, and a 1/4 inch, and an amp that will melt your face off. It's a good buy. So if you're interested in this or other amps from Bad Cat, you know where to go. It's our new website, which is
StillAlamomusic.com. It just looks a little cleaner and nicer, and you can actually find stuff on it.
Yeah, the photos look really good on it.
Everything looks
I just
better
pull
on it.
things up and like just look at products on it.
I like being able to type in a product name incorrectly, and it still will come up.
So good. Anyways, we're excited. We hope you enjoyed the new website too. And we hope you've enjoyed this video. If you are new to our channel, you know what to do. You should subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos so other guitar players also find out about us. We appreciate it. They appreciate it. And get one of these because it's awesome. So thanks so much for watching.